And welcome everyone to our part two campaign countdown on Mythics #2, the supernatural comic by Matt Trin, now funding on Kickstarter. Part of the Mythiverse trio, it's a story that follows Althea, a supernatural investigator who stumbles upon a dark conspiracy after saving a small child from a coven of witches, rather. So, Matt, without further ado, welcome to the campaign countdown. How's it going today?
Oh, it's going well.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. If it's anything, we learned who's willing to back the campaign no matter what.
Right? Yeah, it definitely shows you who your real fans are, huh? The hardcore fans, that is, I should say.
Yeah. The ones who can't support it because of the pandemic and all these concerns about financial future, I completely understand.
Right, that is definitely, like you said, that's definitely understandable. But it is nice to see people showing their support, even despite that. That really shows you how passionate people are about it. So that is really nice to see.
Yeah, I wish that some of the governors would let loose on their restrictions, since some of the states aren't hit as hard. Some areas of certain states, like Michigan, aren't hit as hard, but
Yeah, no, I get that, man. But hopefully, things will get settled down and life can return to the actual normal, and we can proceed. But in the meantime, we're out here trying to fund this comic, and it's sitting at almost $2,500. So it's at its out of its $4,000 goal. So it's getting there, man. It's really, I think it can make it, man. These last 2 days. I think I'm really hoping for a similar Jack Irons push. Let's give this the Jack Irons treatment, and make this happen, man.
Yeah, though, I think that the Jack Irons backers aren't going to be completely keen on supporting Kickstarter, because I noticed that the rivalry between Kickstarter and Indiegogo is similar to the rivalry between PC and console, or Xbox and PlayStation.
Really? That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really get that myself. I don't understand. Even before I started Wicked, I would routinely back things on both platforms. I never even thought anything of it, really. I just said, "Oh, it's over here. I'll back over here. Oh, it's over here. I'll go back over here." So I don't know. Personally, I get why people like choosing one over the other because of the features, but backing, I don't know. I don't necessarily get that rivalry. But welcome. Sorry, I just want to say welcome, Matt B, fellow co-founder, to the studio.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. So you're saying, Matt, you're going to comment on that?
Well, no matter what happens, there's always going to be some kind of tribalism. No matter what, people are going to go for whatever platform they want. They like the best.
No, that makes sense, honestly. I see a lot of people taking advantage of that by doing, multiple, like doing one on Kickstarter, same thing on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, offer both opportunities.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's not like, I know that there are people who think that it's going to turn out to be some kind of scam if they're running them on both, but it seems more along the lines of the cross-platform kind of campaign, so that you can get the maximum amount possible, such as you could do half on Kickstarter and half on Indiegogo.
That's interesting. I thought, it's any kind of a new way you can strategize, in a sense.
Yeah, and I do want to do hit Indiegogo as well, because there's the issue one variance that people on that platform will never get the chance to get because they never choose Indiegogo over Kickstarter.
Right, exactly. It's kind of a missed opportunity there. Yeah. And I know you guys did the Kickstarter for Mythiverse and you guys had nice success there. So I imagine that's probably why you wanted to stick with Kickstarter for this go round as well.
Yeah, and we're going to be relaunching on Kickstarter And my plan is to try to get one up for Indiegogo, because I feel like it's a missed opportunity in this day and age for to launch to get both platforms, get the people who are interested in the project, who love the idea of the variant cover for issue 1, let them have their chance at it.
That's actually really smart. I really like that, man. It's because, like you said, well, you talk about people having their own preferences for their own platforms for Indiegogo versus Kickstarter. This gives those people a chance to be able to back the book no matter which platform they prefer. So that's kind of nice, actually. That actually might be a good way to go do it going forward. Maybe that's the new way to do it. I've seen more and more people do that, so maybe
And
should be the preferred way now.
yeah, although I do think that it's probably not a good idea to do it on your very first campaign, because you have no history.
Interesting. That's fair. I could see that. There's maybe a little more risk there. Yeah, that's quite possible. Now, I just put the link up in the chat, so people who haven't checked it out can go check out the page. We'll probably be taking a look at it at some point during the stream today. But start off, I want to just maybe have you introduce us to Elthea a little bit. Maybe you could talk to us about who Elthea is as a character.
As a character, she's basically smart, can take care of herself kind of character, the way that you'd expect her to be when magic is outlawed and you can't use the proper tools for the job.
So magic has been outlawed in this world?
Yeah, it's dealt more. It's basically more. It's explained more in the Adobe Kroger series because of the focus on the Order of the Carolingian Cross and their paladins. But basically, magic is outlawed, and if you're using magic, you have paladins come in and take you in.
So that's when Adobe Kroger would haul your ass out.
Yep.
Out of there.
Although, unlike settings like Dragon Age, where that order is out in the open, the Order of the Carolingian Cross is a secret order that operates in the shadows, much like Elthea does with the Mythic Order.
Right, because it's a contemporary setting, and things are a little different than they would be back in the ancient times, I would imagine.
Yeah, medieval period.
Medieval. Right. So, well, that's interesting. So, what kind of a character? You said. I know you've had some inspirations from different things like Sherlock Holmes, Dresden Files. Are there any big inspirations that you took when you were creating the character?
Well, it's really just Sherlock Holmes, because I was raised on the Jeremy Brett series, and he is the definitive Sherlock Holmes. I don't care about Robert Downey Jr. I don't care about Benedict Cumberbatch.
Now, I'm not familiar with this. Is this a TV series or what is this?
Yeah, it was a TV series in the 80s. Really? Yeah. And it holds up remarkably well.
And so who's the actor who plays Sherlock in that one again? Did you say?
Jeremy Brett.
Oh, Jeremy. Not to be confused with our own Brett. Mythic Brett.
No, not at all.
That's interesting. Well, I'm a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes, so I definitely love that you kind of inspired by that.
It was actually the first series to do away with Sherlock's cocaine addiction.
Really?
At the beginning, they were completely faithful to that. He was a cocaine addict. But after finding out that there was a large audience with children, they decided to
Interesting.
have an episode where Sherlock kicks the habit.
Nice. That's funny, man. Oh wow. Yeah, yeah. There's a old Sherlock Holmes book. I've never read it, but I've always mentioned it's called The 7% Solution, and
Oh yeah,
it's kind of you've read that. Have you read that one or heard of it?
yeah. Interesting note is that IDW made a comic adaptation of it,
Oh, oh, really?
and
Oh, then I'll have to read that then.
you know who the author was?
Huh?
He went on to direct Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan and Star
Oh
Trek
wow.
VI: The Undiscovered Country.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
Oh wow. Yeah, that's for those who don't know, it's kind of like about the story
Nicholas
where
Mayer is a what can you say?
Nicholas is the Nicholas Mayer, the actor. You mean?
Nicholas Mayer, the director.
Ah, I'm not familiar with his work.
He did 2 Star Trek movies.
Ah, see, I'm not a Star Trek guy, so I don't know as much
They
of
were
the
also the
trivia.
most popular Star Trek movies.
Really,
Yep.
but anything's better than the new one. So,
Well, The Undiscovered Country won a Saturn Award,
huh.
which is the
That's
only
the
time
last one, right?
that was the last one for with the original series crew,
Hmm. Okay, yeah, yeah. Wow,
and then
that's
went
awesome.
downhill from there.
The final frontier, the final frontier.
Well, then they went on to the next generation, and then
Uh,
they had one good movie with First Contact, and then went downhill.
now, speaking back on Althea, we talked a little about her character. What kind of a world does she have? We know, many of us know the Mythoverse is this world filled with mythology and folklore and legends. But beyond that, what kind of what on the like a daily basis, what kind of supernatural does she deal with?
Daily basis, it varies because she's also living a mundane life, and she has a job, unlike some other paranormal investigators, like oh, Dresden, Constantine.
Hmm.
But she's her day job is a writer because I might as well. They advise you to write what you know, so I'm going to tell about her struggles as a writer.
Yeah, I've always really enjoyed that about the character. Yeah, it's almost
Yeah,
like a Stephen King-esque kind of meta thing going on.
yeah, and also gives her the opportunity to turn her cases into stories that she can write.
Hmm. Oh, very much like Sherlock Holmes.
Well, Dr. Watson did it, and
Right, right, yeah.
funny thing is that since if you ever read Adobe Kroger Knight Errant, you get a very Dr. Watson's vibe from Adobe.
And likewise, you kind of almost get this Sherlock vibe from Althea, so they're kind of that dynamic pair there.
Yep, which is why I can't wait to have them in a crossover.
Yes, I know, because of all the three characters, I imagine they're the two that are going to have they're going to be in crossover first, I would think,
Oh yeah,
just
most
because of
definitely.
that nature. Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see kind of them tackle their first case together. Now, without if this isn't now without spoiling anything, can you tell us if Adobe and Althea have met at this point, or are they strangers to each other?
They're strangers right now. I think Adobe is probably in her teens because Althea is a few years
Adobe is
older
in
than
her
her.
teens. Oh, really? Wait, what?
Adobe's still in her teens at this point.
Like how old are we? Like in Dame Commander?
Oh, and Dame Commander, she's from
Spoiler alert.
well, from what Dan has said, it takes place before Knight Errant, so she's in her
Oh
20s,
wow.
early 20s, probably
So
21, 22.
the timeline with the Mythoverse is a little, you kind of are kind of playing a little with the timeline a bit. It sounds like
Yeah,
so.
basically, yeah, so Mythics is 2007. Dame Commander is, I think, 2011. And Changeling is 2019.
Interesting. That's really interesting, man. Is there again, we don't want to get into any spoiler territory, but is there any plans to kind of merge the timelines in the future or kind of bring them all into the same era?
Well, we did that we did a preview of that for the print we put out for the Mythoverse campaign.
The Dragon print?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a nice little piece there. I really enjoy seeing all three of them kind of getting ready for action there. That was cool. I'm gonna see if I can bring that up as well. But no. So she kind of deals with a lot of different supernatural stuff, and likewise on it, like Sherlock Holmes, she kind of does She does these kind of cases, right? So who is her clientele? Does she take these cases of her own volition, or is someone hiring for these cases?
Basically, it's a mythic order that takes on that gives her the job, either through their own spies or if they contact them by secret or by some church proxy. Because there are the way I rationalize it is that even if you got a secret order like the Order of the Caroline Cross, you're going to have some splinter churches due to how fractured Christianity is.
Interesting. So there's multiple factions. Is that right?
Yeah. You've got all different versions of Christianity. You have the Mormons, you have the Catholics,
Latter-day Saints.
Yep. It's to have them all agree to be part of this secret order, or some of the clergy could the order might have the higher ups, but the ranking files probably aren't going to be too aware of that unless they've got some kind of special knowledge.
Interesting. Yeah. That makes sense to me. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oops. I apologize. I'm not very good at this, apparently. But no, that's great, man. So why don't we take a look at the campaign page? Do you have that up that we can share?
Yep, I thought you had it up earlier.
No, sorry, I was just pulling up some art for it.
It's all right. Actually, you know what?
Speaking of which,
I'll DM
this is actually one of the pieces that I wanted to talk about. So this one's actually getting a lot of popularity. I noticed a lot of people commenting on this one. So what can you tell us about this scene here?
Oh, this scene is basically Althea and Morella, who is a changeling as well as the baby that Althea rescued, except that Morella is a different kind of changeling.
In what sense?
Well, when it comes to changelings, there's all kinds of there's different kinds of spirits that will take human children. The kind of spirit that took Morella's was a more vampiric spirit. And I sent you in DM, I sent you a photo of a new piece that Beth put up showing Althea in that bathing suit with the jacket coming off.
Oh, yeah. This was a piece we just did recently, isn't it?
Yep.
Let me see if I can screen share this without totally screwing everything up. Fingers crossed, folks. Yeah, I did it.
No.
I did it. I'm going to leave that.
Hooray. Yeah, but...
All right, not touching it.
That got a lot of views as well.
Yeah, this is a piece by your artist Beth. She does
Yep.
all the line work and all the coloring herself. Very
Yep.
talented.
Oh, see, there she is.
Yeah, how did you guys first start working together?
I contacted her when I found out that she had a website and was taking commissions.
Really? And then so you just kind of like reached out and said like, are you available for comic book work?
Yeah, and I did a.
Wow.
The first work was the first piece was not a Mythics piece. It was a 5-page preview for a comic that I wanted to submit to comic companies. Unfortunately, nobody took that. So, or maybe it's fortunate because then we wouldn't have Mythics.
True. Yeah, I mean, some things happen for a reason, I suppose, and this turned out to be one of those at times, I think.
Yeah, same thing with the whole with the original pitch for Mythics. It wasn't picked up, but it led to this, the Mythiverse.
Right, and so speaking of the Mythiverse, how does Althea's story kind of play into the larger role of the Mythiverse, or rather the larger setting of the Mythiverse?
Well, for the most part, CISO is more of the down to earth side since a lot of what she does, she's going to need to improvise on the spot. She's not going to have magic all the time. And
She's kind of an improviser, yeah.
also it'll also provide a way to talk more about the folklore. So she's got encyclopedic knowledge of folklore and the creatures so that she can defeat them without the use of magic.
Man, dude, I love that again. That's another that to me that feels like another facet of her character that is how she's like Sherlock Holmes. Because he would definitely do that. Like I remember when I would one of the things I used to love about his characters, he would memorize the different ash from different cigar smokes. So you could go to a crime scene, pick up a piece of ash, and be like, I know exactly what brand this guy was smoking, and so it was kind of interesting. So that kind of reminds me of that having that encyclopedic knowledge, being able to pull things out of nowhere, like and be able to apply it to the situation. I kind of love that about that character, honestly.
Yeah, and I think the funny one of the best quotes he had was he was asked how he knew that a bullet hole was there. His response was, "Because I was looking for it."
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so it's kind of the kind of mentality I feel like you apply with Althea.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome, man. So another character I actually love to talk about, and if you have any art, please do send this over because I'm not sure I've seen too much art for this character yet. Well, actually, no, I take that back, but I don't have off the top of my head. But Gallatin, is that how you pronounce his
Yeah,
name?
Gallatin.
Gallatin. So that is Althea's familiar. So
Yep.
maybe you could tell us a little about that character.
He's lived for over 2,000 years.
Jeez.
And familiars are tied to the bloodlines their of their partners. So while there's a skip between the members, such as Althea's mother does not have the same familiar as she did not have Gallatin as a familiar, rather another kind. But it's going to be interesting to see how things work out between him and Althea, since on one side you have Althea's intelligence, on the other side you have Gallatin's experience. So so eventually there's going to be times where he's going to advise Althea, based on something that's always already happened before. Or there'd be some kind of plot against them that involves a creature's, or maybe possibly semi-immortal creatures, grudge against him for a previous defeat. He's, in terms of how he acts with Althea, he's more like Althea's adopted father figure, because he spent his time during Althea's childhood and late and teens protecting her until she came of age at 18. So there's also going to be that kind of dynamic as well.
Interesting. Now, what kind of creature is she, or is rather is he? Is he like is he a shapeshifter, or what is he exactly?
He's for the most part a shapeshifter. Familiars, when it came to folklore, often took up the form of either cats or dogs, and in Gallatin's case, he takes on the form of a German Shepherd as his preferred form.
I like that. That's pretty funny. Very loyal. Very, very good. It's very fitting. Now, I'm actually going to have a picture of Gallatin. I'm going to screen share here. So this is from issue number 1 of Mythics. So this is during their first investigation. And so if what kind of a dynamic would you say that the two characters have with each other?
Well, something of a adopted father-daughter relationship, because Gallatin's been there for her entire life.
Oh, wow.
Even when she didn't realize it, he was in the shadows protecting her from supernatural dangers.
Wow, that's pretty. Yeah, I could see that why that would be the case then. Yeah. Huh. That's really interesting. So was he kind of hiding out as a dog?
Yeah.
Nice.
Basically, Alfie will have memories of a German Shepherd that often come over to play with her as a child.
No, that's fun. Yeah, I like that backstory, man. That's really interesting. Yeah, it seems like they have a really strong bond together, the two of those characters.
Which they have to, because Gallatin is Althea's focus point for her magic. He allows her to use the higher stuff. And in a way, go on.
No, please.
Okay. Well, there are two ways for a mythic to use their powers. First is, as everyone knows from issue 1 and previous interviews, was through their familiars. And if the familiar's not there, the focus item. And Althea's focus item is a pen, which is basically the focus item is supposed to represent what is important to to the user, and the pen symbolizes Althea's importance to her as a writer, as her primary profession.
Makes sense. Yeah, I could totally see that. Now, what kind of a fiction does she write?
Well, most of her work is based on cases that she takes on. So she's also writing them down as books to sell, which funny enough, Beth also put up a illustration of Althea reading from a book called Mythics, which I'm going to send you right now.
Yeah, I was just about to say I'd love to put that up on the screen, man.
Because as meta as it might sound, it's probably not so much, considering that everything that she writes sounds extremely unbelievable to a modern audience.
Well, they just say, "Oh, this is just her wild imagination." She's like, "No, this is all true. Yeah, I did this."
Well, not so much about her saying that it's true, because
Right, she's that would kind of defeat the point of a secret organization, wouldn't it?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it might change later on in the future, but
Probably not for a while, I would think. Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But no, that's an interesting point. Now, did you send over the artwork for that one?
Yep.
Perfect. I'll go ahead and share that one out now as well. Yes, I remember this one now. Yeah. Yeah, she's been doing some really cool pieces, like just kind of standalone art pieces with the Althea.
Yeah, I've enjoyed every single time she tweets them.
I know, right? It's pretty cool. I bet that's kind of a nice little treat you get there every now and then when she comes out with one of those.
Yeah, and I think it's also great because it shows the prospective audience that she cares about the project. She wants it to succeed, and she's going to be focused on the project.
True, yeah. I mean, she's putting in a lot of work on it already, and the campaign's not even done yet.
Yep.
So, yeah, that really does show you the dedication there. And it's I also would like to point out, I mean, just the growth of Beth's art. Like she just keeps improving all the time. It just never stops getting better, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I could direct you to the work that she did on the duckwebcomics.com, where you get to see her growth as an artist from
Really?
beginning to end. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Or at least not so much end, because she's still improving.
True, right. The journey's still going there, so
Yeah.
definitely.
And
No, that's cool, man.
yeah, I sent
Well,
you
even in just I want to say a year, the art has massively improved.
Mm-hmm. That's no doubt, yeah. That's for sure. Like man, like the page we saw earlier with that background, that city background, and the beach, and just the composition of it all was so nice. That's one of my favorite pages, I think, from Mythics so far. That page was so awesome, and even there's a ton of those kind of pages in the second issue with a lot of different stuff going on.
Yep. And if it's anything, if she were to tell me that she couldn't continue on the artwork, I'd try to keep her on board for the colors, because her colors dramatically improves everything.
Yeah, speaking of which, I mean, here's a great example of that here.
Yeah.
I love the kind of dichotomy that we're seeing. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about what went into the thinking behind this one?
Basically, it's Althea's fear that she'll never live up to the perfect version of herself in her mind, which is a very human fear.
Very true, yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. All three of the Mythoverse leading ladies, they kind of are, they're very strong, but they also have these vulnerable sides, these insecurities and things that are kind of holding them back a little bit. So it definitely makes them more relatable, I think.
Yeah. For one of the things I don't really like about using crowdfunding at earlier stages, that it actually holds me back on writing I'm writing a lot of stuff I really want to write.
Well,
But
really, what do you mean?
well, I want to do more character-based moments in the comics, but the
Hmm.
unfortunately budget and such. So even though it might not, but right now what we're doing is we're setting up a world. We're setting up the world, and you can tell that the first issue was to set up the world, introduce characters, and the second issue builds upon Althea's character.
Nice. Very nice, man. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I think people want to see after that first issue is a nice kind of starting to really develop that character and kind of see where she's going, and kind of see where she might be going in the next couple issues. Really,
Yeah.
that'll be nice to see.
And later on, we'll see the realm that Gaelton comes from.
Really? Okay. Anything you can tease us about that?
Well, it might be next issue, it might be issue 4, but it might come sooner rather than later if the next campaign brings in more money, because all the extra money for stretch goals will go into the production of issue 3.
That makes sense. Yeah. So let's say the campaign makes it this time around. What's the plan for it going forward with issue 3? Is that something that you have thoughts on at this time?
Yeah, I have Mythics outlined up to issue 25 right now.
Wow.
So and one of the rewards for reaching goals for the campaign was a volume 1 plot outline, so everyone who backed the campaign knows that there's stuff going on later.
Nice, man. So you're here to stay. Mythics ain't going nowhere. That's what I'm
No,
hearing.
no, I'm gonna tell this story even if it sends me into debt.
And that just shows your dedication right there, man.
And you know something? I just got in the mail a business debit card from PayPal, so don't tempt me, guys.
You heard it, guys. That's dangerous stuff right there, man. That's too funny, man. But that makes. I mean, I love to see that passion. I mean, I totally get how you feel about that when you get your story out there. So, definitely awesome, man. So yeah, that's really cool. So, um, you know, excuse me. So I guess the question is just so people know, there's again we talked about it earlier, but the campaign is at $2,500, nearing $2,500, I should say, the $4,000 goal. So it's just above $1,500 away, with 2 days left to go. So it ends, I believe, sometime Monday evening. Is that right?
It ends on Monday, yes, at 9:09 p.m.
And is that
Eastern.
Pacific time, Eastern time, Eastern time?
Yep.
So that's 10 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're over here on the West Coast, or on the West Coast, with us over here, definitely want to make sure you know that it ends at 6 p.m. and because it's early. So in fact, tomorrow we're gonna be doing one more live stream starting at 5 o'clock. We're gonna be counting down that final hour with y'all, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And that'll be our final day stream, and we're just gonna be pushing really hard to try and make this happen and push you guys over the line. You made pretty good progress over the last couple of days, so that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, there's always a big push at the end of the campaign.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Isn't that funny?
Yeah,
Or nerve-wracking, whichever way you want to look at it.
Oh yeah, it was especially nerve-wracking last year when we had the Mythiverse campaign. We were at $4,000 at the beginning of the last week. It looked like we were going to make gold. Then we got an extra $2,000 over the course of that week.
Yeah, geez, that's amazing. Yeah, that was so. I mean, I'm hoping for another go around like that.
Yeah,
it'd be really cool to see, man.
It'd be really cool, but even if it doesn't happen, we're still going to relaunch. We're still going to
Nice.
push forward, because unlike some other campaigns that'll just give up after one defeat, we're here to stay.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I think that's a great mentality to have. You're not just gonna pack up and go, "Oh, it didn't work. Guess Mythoverse isn't happening." No, you guys are make sure this is gonna happen. It's just, I love the way Cody puts it. He always says it's just a matter of time. It's gonna happen sooner rather than later. So I think that's a really smart way to look at it.
Yeah, it's also something that I realized after watching a Text Talks Battletech, where
Oh, really?
he talks about the great figure Alexander Kerensky, and basically, even though he failed at a lot of things, such as he failed to protect the First Lord of the Star League from being assassinated, he failed keeping a Star League together.
Really?
He's remembered as a great man for keeping to his principles.
Hmm.
And his son piggybacked off of that success, which is why he's always remembered as a great man who did nothing wrong.
Hmm. Interesting, man.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
so anytime someone says that because you failed at something, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Plenty of people fail at the beginning. It's only a failure if you decide to give up.
No, I mean that's very true. I've always heard that failure is part of success. Failure teaches you what to do better and help you improve the next time. So, it's just part of the process, really. But I appreciate that you guys have an understanding of that. It definitely shows that you guys have your heads in the right place here. And so it's just that definitely want to make sure it happens this round. I prefer to have it happen this round rather than later, just because I want to see the next stage of Elfia's story unfold.
I agree.
Now, maybe we can talk a little bit about the plot that, maybe without spoiling too much, we can talk a little bit about what happened in issue 1 and kind of where her investigation is taking her.
Well, issue 1 has Althea bringing up a sacrifice that a coven of witches had set up with the kidnapping of a baby changeling named Arlene. And there are things that Althea notes that isn't quite right, such as they brought the baby changeling, but they didn't bring Demon Lord's chosen sacrifice along with unchosen animal, along with the changeling. So she has this feeling that there's something bigger going on. And on the other side is that even though she did everything right, they still have the paladins to deal with, because the witches really messed things up when they kidnapped the baby. They let a paladin know.
Yeah, you
Fantastic.
definitely don't want that.
Yep. Unfortunately for them, the paladin that heard it is exceedingly stupid and went in without any of the precautions that a paladin normally would. They got the rookie.
Of course, right?
But that ended with the paladin's death, the death of Arlene's parents.
Thanks.
Yep. So that got really dark.
Seriously, that took a dark turn there.
Yeah, and now they've got an investigation team from the Order of the Carolingian Cross.
And we saw that in issue number 1.
Yep.
Them kind of appearing on the scene, so to speak.
Yep, and to continue my trend of basing characters off of famous detectives, the lead paladin is based off of Perot.
And Perot, for those who aren't familiar, could maybe tell us a little who that is?
Perot is Agatha Christie detective.
Okay. That's Agatha Christie. That's Murder on the Orient Express, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was right.
So there are certain things that he's nitpicky about, such as he doesn't like it when someone like that rookie paladin goes off on their own to take down their enemies without the proper intel. They just didn't. He just doesn't like that. And he pointed out to his wizard companion that it's the reason why the parents were killed in the process.
That it was a botched job, really. That did it.
Botched job all the way around, except for when it came to the Mythics. They actually did perfectly because Althea wasn't using her magic. And the paladins do have a way of detecting magic.
So they're going to have unintended consequences then?
Yeah. Well, I think what's going to play into Althea's favor is that this paladin's probably going to be more accepting of elements that can be used as possible allies.
And so, this going forward with the investigation, is she going to? What kind of stuff is she going to encounter?
What?
Like going forward with the investigation, what can we expect like in the next issue? So we've had this, we've had the Coven of Witches and the kidnapping, but what is next for Althea?
Well, she's going to be facing a fear, which I think a lot of the people who've been seeing the promos for a campaign will know very well. And it deals with brigands who have a very silly weakness. Turn your clothes inside out, you're invisible to them.
It's not as easy as you might think, though. I mean, what are you gonna do that on the fly? You're just gonna turn your clothes inside out, man? That ain't easy.
Well, according to the folklore that the brigands are in, an old woman was able to do it. But I get the feeling that it wasn't so much about the clothes being inside out. It's more along the lines of the old woman getting naked in front of them.
Yeah, that might have something to do with it. Now, here's a good question from the chat. Matt Reese asks, how many pages is this issue going to be?
Issue 2 is going to be 24 pages.
Nice, man. And that's about the same as the first one. Is that correct?
First one was 20 pages, so it's gone up.
So a few more. Nice. Very nice, man. I'm glad to hear that, man. I love to see more content out of that.
Yeah, I want to do more in-ups too, so
yeah,
it's a win-win.
Really is, yeah. Now, I wanted to bring this image up because this is some characters that we meet in the first issue. What can you tell us about these characters who were introduced, who seem to have a sinister plot in mind for Althea?
Well, they're a Coven of Witches, the true one. The ones that they're the ones who have what seems to be either a plot against Althea or the Mythic Order, or maybe even Gallatin himself. I don't want to tell you guys anything more than that because it might be a spoiler.
And we appreciate that. We don't do spoilers here at Wicked. We're a firm believer in no spoilers. But I wanted to bring them up because when I was reading the first issue, I really loved this part because all of a sudden it came out of nowhere, and I was like, "Wait, who are these characters? What are they playing? Why are they doing it?" And it just made me want to know more about the characters in the world, and so it definitely made me excited for the next issue.
Well,
Which I thought was really cool.
Well, I plan on keeping them as mysterious as possible so that they're going to be the villains that aren't going to have that whole gray morality kind of thing. And I've always felt like the villains you see the least of are often the most terrifying because you don't know who they are, you don't know what their plans are, and you don't really know their motivations. So all those unknowns make for terrifying villains.
Mm-hmm. And it's gonna be fun to see kind of be us kind of going along with Althea having to figure out the mystery behind them at the same time.
Yeah, and
oops.
Oh, go on.
So I was going to say, and as Neostar points out in the chat, yowza. See, they've got that going for them as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely draws her ladies well.
Oh, yes, he does.
Hey, more power to her, you know. I ain't complaining.
And
but no, I thought that they were really interesting characters.
Yeah.
Go ahead, though.
Oh, yeah.
What were you going to say?
Well, in terms of Althea, that's the reason why I work with Beth, is because she has the ability to do things that are in the character's best interests.
Do you have any examples off the top of your head?
Well, her design. You notice how she has a more lean, muscular design?
Mm-hmm.
That's because she also, I realized that for a character like Althea to be self-sufficient with her intelligence, she also has to know how to take care of herself in the real world. So she's the type of character who will know how to do Taekwondo.
Mixed martial artist, I see.
Yeah.
Who would win in a fight, Adobe or Althea?
Depends. Does Adobe get to have her prayers?
Let's say no. Let's just say it's straight, no magic fight.
Okay.
Just a fisticuff. What do you think, man? Do you think Althea could take her down?
I think I'd rule on Althea because whenever I see Adobe fight, she's usually reliant upon the prayers.
Oh snap! Shots fired.
But then again, that's part of her weakness, is that her power isn't. She's pretty much a normal person without the prayers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Also
how does that differ from like Althea, for example?
Well, Althea doesn't get the privilege of using magic due to the paladins all that often.
Those jerks. Damn, Adobe, you're killing my vibe over here. What's going on? Oh man, that's funny. It's really interesting. Learning more about the dynamic between the Mythics and the Paladins is kind of really interesting, actually.
Yeah. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have Dan involved with the Mythiverse, is because of the whole Sherlock Watson dynamic that we could probably pull off.
No, I mean, it's really smart. I can see why you'd want to do that. And it's really fun with the characters the way you guys have set them up.
Yeah,
What's really cool is because hadn't Adobe Knight Errant, the novel, already been out for a while at that point?
yeah.
So it's really interesting, kind of how you guys created the universe and one, with this existing property and the new properties. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really interesting how everything was able to fit together.
Yeah,
But,
really, it really is.
Yeah, but for the most part, it dealt with how we decided to do it all with more folkloric characters. Make make this world more real, based it on pre-existing folklore.
And that's kind of where, what made you want to do that? Was there any particular reason why you chose contemporary fantasy setting as the basis for the Mythoverse?
Well, it's because we all had our characters based in that contemporary fantasy setting.
So it almost kind of all just worked out, but kind of naturally, really.
Yep. And I think that's what's going to. I think that's what's going to make this last, because it all happened organically.
It wasn't something that was forced.
Yeah, we never had. When we designed our characters, created them, we had no idea that we'd meet and create the Mythoverse. And in fact, there's a number of stories involving Elfia that I had done that will be showing up in the writer's notebook,
which is a bonus content included in the campaign.
Yep.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, what is on that notebook? What kind of stuff can we expect to see in that?
Well, for one thing, you'll get to see the first script ever with Elfia. And it'll go down to basically showing the different stories that led up to the formation of Mythics as it is now. Such as some of these stories don't have Elfia involved with them, but they were set in the same setting to build upon the universe.
That's great, man. Now I wanted to put this out in the chat because this is perfect timing here. Neostar Production says, "Laugh out loud. The Sherlock and Watson dynamic is definitely a strong selling point in my book." It's funny that you should mention that, Neostar, as I was just getting ready to share a little piece that Beth did of a cosplay piece showing Sherlock Holmes and Watson versions of Elfia and Adobe Kroger. So perfect that you mentioned that, because I love that piece right there. That's so fun right there.
I have to say that was my favorite piece of them.
Really?
Yep. Beth had also done. I think this is the second time Beth has drawn Adobe. The first time was Adobe as a high school student.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah. Those were fun. Those were really fun one too. They were like kind of like these little, punk high school kids who were like kind of pissed off.
Yep.
I thought it was a good one. It's fun. I love the cosplay, or kind of things you do where like the characters are dressed up as other characters. I've not really seen anyone do that before, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think the only one who really does it is Brian from Regs.
Yeah, that's true.
He'll commission cosplay pieces for Regina.
That's a good point. Yeah, he's a good one to model yourself after. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now there's another piece here. This one shows Elfia as I believe if it'll load. No. As the British Magus himself. Don Constantine, Hellblazer.
Yeah, it's because that was mainly for the fact that people saw Alfia as being a female John Constantine, which I really wasn't going for.
That's funny. It kind of works, doesn't it? In a sense, she's
Yeah.
she's kind of like him, but maybe I don't know. She's probably a little bit less rough around the edges, maybe.
She's not as much of an asshole.
Yeah, that is a better way of putting it. Yeah, they're definitely not an asshole like him.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we're going to do an Alfia as Zatanna, because that'd be fun.
Oh, that'd be a good one, yeah. Or you could do you could have Dobby be Zatanna if you want to do another duo pair, like have them do a duo together.
Yeah, yeah, but you know what that's going to do?
Huh.
That's going to make people sip them.
Well, they're already shipping them probably anyway, so.
That is true. We got an NSFW piece that I can't share off of the Discord. So.
Oh my god! So if you want to see that, then join the Mythiverse Discord. It sounds like.
Except that you're going to. I dig
scroll
deep.
through. Hey man, it sounds like it's worth digging deep for. So, if you have it in you, you definitely go there and dig till your heart's content. Neostar says that is awesome and kind of sexy. Definitely true. Very true. Yeah, I'm as I said on the podcast yesterday, I love Hellblazer. So this was one of my I think it's probably my favorite of the Mythiverse cosplay pieces.
Yeah, and there's definitely gonna be more coming.
Nice. Oh, that's great, man.
And I don't know, we might do more sexy pieces because it seems like that's something that if you've got a female-led story on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, that's something you lead with.
Hey, well, it makes sense in some way.
But I'm not. Yeah, but to be honest, I'm not going to ask Beth to draw Alfia from behind wearing a thong.
Hey, well, the thing is, we're not going to ask for it, but if she offers it, we're not going to say no. Yeah, that's the thing I noticed about Beth's art too. So she doesn't really shy away from like anything too much. Like she's pretty comfortable with depicting pretty much anything. So like, she's very versatile in that sense.
Yeah, and another thing that I really liked, the big reason why I chose her was because she's also a storyteller herself. So she's going to have instincts that say that this is going to be better off for a comic.
Really?
Yeah. So in a way, Mythics is going to be something of a collaboration between Beth and myself.
It'd probably be better for that, I think.
Yep.
That's great, man. It's again, it's really nice that you have such a cool artist that you can work with, someone you trust and who's reliable and produces good work and is so passionate about the project. I mean, that's just, you can't ask for any more than that, really.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun run.
I agree. Yeah, I'm super excited. Do you guys have a kind of a idea of how many issues are going to be in this first arc?
There's going to be 5.
5 issues. Very nice.
Yeah. And if we start getting enough people to run Kickstarters as trade paperbacks, then we're going to go with, they're probably going to end up going with a more streamlined 6 issues per story arc, so that we can do 2 campaigns in a year and give people monthly runs.
Very nice, man. That would be really cool. Yeah, that's great, man. And like you said earlier, there's always a plan for more Mythiverse and more Mythics and stuff. So it's not going anywhere. So if you guys are worried about that, definitely you can rest assured. When you're back in this story, you're back in something that's here to stay.
Yeah, and to be honest, I probably have Beth screaming about how she's going to be overworked if we do monthly 250. And we're not going to get that. It's not going to be that fast.
That's good. Yeah, you definitely need a little bit of time between to kind of digest that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't plan on doing that until after issue 5.
Okay.
Because that'll be when we've got the best way of seeing how far we came.
And so we talked a little bit earlier. It was 24 pages, full color. Is you guys including any bonus material in the back this time around?
For the digital copy, yes, of course.
Nice. What kind of stuff are you guys including in that?
We're going to have the same thing as before. We're a fan art corner gallery, a look into the making of the book. So
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you're gonna be. One thing that I really want people to get off of this is that you're going to get more than you're expecting.
Well, that's awesome, man. And is there anything you kind of can tease to us about just the future of the series in general?
Well, we may get to meet Althea's biological mother.
Oh, wow. That'd be interesting.
Yep. Yeah, Althea's adopted. It's one of the things that the Mythic Order does to keep the Order of Killing Cross from figuring out the bloodlines.
Damn, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah, but
I feel bad for Althea now.
Yeah, but it's the kind of thing that happens when you're faced with either subjugation by an order they'll treat you like your objects, as opposed to an ancient order that is out to protect. But then again, to be fair, both orders are there to protect humanity. It's just that they have different ways of viewing it.
True. So, is any one of them better than the other? I mean, are there any good guys in this universe?
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be. Both sides of this have their good guys and bad guys. And Dan makes it very clear in Knight Errant that there are some paladins that are not good people.
That's funny. That's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm going to show that the Mythic Order isn't full of selfless offenders. Some of them can be self-serving. Yeah,
I love that dynamic. It's really cool because that really makes it feel much more like real life. Where there isn't really such thing as good guys. There's just people, and some are better than others, and some are worse than others, and it's kind of a hodgepodge of the mixture of that. So it's nice to see that you guys are taking that kind of mentality approach. It's something that I remember I really enjoyed about Gundam, the Universal Century Gundam stuff, is they really did a good job of depicting that as well, and it kind of reminds me of that, the way you guys are approaching that.
Yeah, there's some people will say that moral ambiguity has ruined comics, but it's not so much about that as it is that you've got people who have no idea how to use it.
Right. It's not that it's bad, it's just improperly being utilized.
Yep. And some of them are just incompetent at executing it throughout the entire run. Some people like, say, the Sword Runners of Game of Thrones.
Well, last season, we're looking at you.
That's a major burn right there.
Oh, yeah. Fire and ice, man.
Well,
But no, I totally get that. Yeah.
Well, George R. R. Martin, he had a chance to get his ending out first, but he blew it.
Yeah. We could do a whole episode on that alone.
And I'd like to think that this illustration of Althea that she got up is her reaction of season 8.
That's too funny, man. This is the cosplay one where we've seen the fans' reaction to season 8 of Game of Thrones. AKA the Game of Thrones cosplay.
Well, you have one. What you currently got up right now is the one that that Beth did as a practice run for drawing Alfie again.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. And that's really cool, man. I really like this piece, and I love in the comments she mentions how a lot of the girls that she draws look annoyed, but I love that look on her face. That is like, to me, that is now the classic iconic Althea look. You know?
Well, it's also the reason why she has her smiling more often.
No, that's very true. Now, this is interesting. Neostar says, I'm always curious to learn more about the Order, since they seem to be such a driving force in the Mythiverse.
Well, Fred, Dan, and I are all planning on doing more work on showing more of the worlds, especially with Brett's upcoming Changeling issue, which has Maeve going into the Fey realm. So that's gonna be interesting.
Ooh, that will be interesting. Wow, yeah, that'll be fun to see how that plays out. That's interesting though. I do. It does seem like they do play. I mean, they're probably the biggest order. I mean, they have outlawed magic by certain individuals. They seem to have the most power and control in this world.
Well, the Order of Carolingian Cross.
And for those who don't know, the Order of the Carolingian Cross, those are the paladins. That's their order that they belong to.
And as Dan says, they see every problem as a nail to be hammered in.
Yikes! Ain't that lovely? What a great group. I'm sure they're very level-headed and approach everything, from a very reasonable standpoint. Never over,
Well, you saw how one of their rookies went rogue and tried to handle things on its own.
Right, very true. Then you can see that in the pages of Adobe Croaker. But the next image I want to share here is one of my favorite images, and I think this is just another promotional piece she did. But it kind of goes to showing how Beth has an incredible eye for design, and so I'm going to pull this image up here that we kind of see a little bit here below, if it'll let me. I'm going to stop screen sharing it until I get it up. But it kind of shows. Yes, it kind of shows, as Beth puts it here, possible outfits and sketches for Althea for Mythics number 2, showing a sporty / professional look. And the reason I like this one is I thought her clothing design was really well done. I don't know why, but clothing, shoe design, things like that, they always stand out to me in art. And just these outfits really stuck out to me. Like that, they're very cohesive and they look really, really well designed, in my opinion.
If there's anything, if Beth ever wants to give up comic work, she has a future as a fashion designer.
It really does. Yeah, you're 100% right. A clothing fashion designer would be I feel like that'd be like her alternate in another universe. That's what she does.
Well, hey, it takes place closer to modern time, right? So she has to think about some kind of fashion for her.
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But I know a lot of times I see comics kind of overlook that. It's not, so it's really really enjoyable for me to see when people kind of have a nice eye for that.
I can kind of see that because it adds a little bit of layer of realism to it as well.
True, it really does. Yeah. No, that's a good point, man. So yeah, I just want to bring that one up because I just love this one. So Neostar says in the chat, I actually rather like Althea's design. Yeah, I think is that something the design is that something you guys came up with together, or is that all Beth? How did that come about?
Yeah, I gave her some descriptions of Althea and let her do her magic.
Nice. And clearly she produced some magic here.
And to make Althea more of a real person, she also has different hairstyles that she'll go through.
Oh yeah, we can see a few here. Like we have a one you see like the bun, then you got the ponytail in the top left, and kind of more hair down in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah, that's again very nice attention to detail. It actually brings up a point I wanted to mention earlier, which is another thing I really love about Beth's art, and something I always look for in an artist. It's probably one of my number one things I look for when I look at an artist is the facial expressions. When an artist can put out readable, compelling facial expressions that bring across the emotion of the characters, it's something that I think is one of the most important things in art, especially for comics. So I can't go on for days about this. You know, I'm just very impressed by Beth's work. And Neostar says sporty yet professional. Sounds like a pretty apt description, kind of like pulp adventure in a sense.
Yep, and I don't know if I can say anything more about Beth's art other than I really like it, since I've said so much about it.
No, I totally get that, man. It's like yeah, you can't. You've already said it better than you can already say it. You know.
Yeah, and she does have incredible range, since she can go from a modern period to medieval fantasy to science fiction fantasy.
That's amazing. Yeah. No, I mean, it must be really rewarding to work with such a talented artist.
Oh, it is. Nothing against the other artists that I worked with, but I think that without Beth on Mythics, if she's not there in some capacity, it won't work as well.
It's that important at this point.
Yep.
No, that makes sense, man. I really get that. Yeah. That's really cool that you're able to find such a cool artist to work with and someone who you work so well with.
Yeah, although it's really just a shame that we don't live closer together so that we could have these kinds of meetings where we're able to go in much further detail about what's going on in the comic.
Hey, well, you know, maybe one day at some point you can make that happen. You know, once Mythic starts taking off, or Mythiverse starts taking off, and we always have plans for the future as well. So who knows what will happen down the line? But I definitely get that. It would be nice to be able to kind of collaborate more in person, or kind of more on a one-on-one basis to be able to really get into the nitty-gritty of the details. But from what I've seen, you guys have managed to do an amazing job with what you have and the way you've communicated. So I think I should be very proud of what you've done with these first two issues.
Oh, we are.
Well, that's good to hear, man. Now, you know, we're wrapping up here at the end of our time, but I wanted to ask if there's anything that you could tell people out there who are maybe thinking about backing your book who haven't yet backed it.
I'd say if you want a story that's more character-based, character-driven, you're going to enjoy this book, especially one that's playing as a team player in an entire world of comics. You know, other than that, I say if you enjoy Hellblazer, but you don't like how much of an asshole Constantine is. Then this is a comic for you.
Which I imagine there's probably quite a few out there who are turned off by Constantine's abrasiveness. So this is definitely a comic to pick up. This will appeal to a lot of different people. People who did enjoy Hellblazer, people who are maybe more of a different style of supernatural comics. So I do feel like there's a lot here to enjoy. So from my end, I definitely think people should check out this book if they haven't. You're offering the first issue in this campaign, is that correct?
Yep. Both the first issue and the first issue variant will be in this, but the first issue variant will be the last campaign for it. The issue 2 campaign, that is.
And does that mean it's kind of like the last chance to pick up those variant covers?
Yep.
Okay, very nice. And so for those who don't know, the variant covers were released in the first Kickstarter, and they kind of have almost like a tarot card aesthetic. Kind of these really interesting art pieces that really came out amazing.
Yeah, I don't think this will be the last time you'll see them as in art, but it'll be the last time you'll see them as a variant cover.
Nice. So yeah, definitely want to. If you missed out on the first one, or if that sounds really interesting to you, definitely want to go check out that perk because it's, as you can see, there's only 27 hours to go. So we need all the backers we can get on this. Every little bit helps, even from the smallest to the biggest pledge. Everything gets it to the end. And with 27 hours to go, I think they can make it past the last $1,500+ that they need. It just needs a little bit of a push. So that's what we're here doing. We're pushing it. And we appreciate it if you go spread the word, share the video, share the link, go and show it to your friends, grab a copy for yourself or someone you like or love. And we very much appreciate the support. And Matt, as we wrap up here, anything you'd like to say out to your fans?
No matter what happens in the next few days, I am incredibly thankful for your support, as well as Beth, who is working hard, who's hard at work, making certain that you've got the best comic possible.
That's awesome, man. Well, I wish you much luck finishing these last few days. I know we're going to be pushing hard on our end, and I just hope this happens, man. I would love to see more Mythics, man. I'm just so excited to see where this issue goes. So thanks again for joining us today, and maybe you could tell us where people can follow you online.
You can follow me at Matt Trin on Twitter, and for the Mythoverse, just look up at Mythoverse for all the updates to the larger Mythoverse.
Very nice, man. Well, thanks again, everyone. And if you haven't, go check out the campaign page, kind of dive in yourself. You can read all about the comic, the creators, and learn a little bit more about the Mythoverse, as well as just the different perks that are available. And let's get this thing done. It's so close. Let's just make it happen. I would love to see it cross that finish line. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you're watching on the replay, thank you. And we very much appreciate all your support. And everyone, have a great rest of your holiday weekend. And we'll see you on another campaign down the line. Later, guys.